Happy Halloween and welcome into the Cover 3. I am your host for today's show, Sterling Bennett. That next to me is Dre from Dre Area Sports, and below us is Aaron from 49ers First Takes. And today, going to get into a lengthy 49ers injury report. What is the latest on Brock Purdy? Preview the Giants game this Sunday, and then get into a deep dive into what could be a very active trade deadline for the San Francisco 49ers. But first, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Dre, Aaron, how you guys doing?
Good. I'm doing great. I'm excited about this Sunday. I have to work this Sunday, so that kind of sucks. But I'm excited about the Niner game. I'm going to watch it. I'm excited. I think they're going to win because no matter what you tell me, I think they're a better team than the Giants. Go ahead. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, I feel I'm scared of the Giants, to be honest with you. I have a little bit of a bad feeling about them, but I just can't see the 49ers coming out 2 weeks in a row completely, defensively unprepared like they were last week and not being able to move the ball. So I feel like there'll be a different sort of energy coming out with the 49ers on Sunday. And if that's the case, it's a beatable Giants team. The Niners just got to not beat themselves and get themselves into a chance to be 6-3 going into their matchup with the LA Rams.
Yeah, this really is a must-win game for the San Francisco 49ers on multiple fronts. Whether it is, again, trying to be 6-3, maybe back in first place at the end of the week, and hopefully playing the Rams being either tied for first place or at least still holding on to that tiebreaker leading into Week 10 against them. But losing would also impact their trade deadline and what they do maybe on next Tuesday. But that said, the San Francisco 49ers, as always, have a lengthy injury report leading into this game on Sunday. And let's start things off with what everybody has been anticipating over the last, 4 to 5 weeks or so, and that is the potential return of franchise and starting quarterback Brock Purdy. Because we got some reports yesterday that Brock was looking better in practice, that he maybe was moving around, more mobile, the throws were more accurate, and was trending towards potentially playing. Today, though, we do have confirmation that Brock Purdy's no longer listed as doubtful or out. In fact, he's questionable to return against the New York Giants on Sunday. And according to Matt Mayoko, could even be Mac Jones's backup at MetLife Stadium against the New York Giants. Dre, I'll ask you this first. Do you like Purdy might come back on Sunday? And are you okay with Purdy being the backup quarterback, even if he isn't 100% healthy this weekend?
I'm okay with him being the backup quarterback. I want him to be as close to 100% as possible, especially if they're lining him up to play against the LA Rams, which is going to be a huge feat for a quarterback who hasn't played in several weeks. I worry about that because, he hasn't played, and so he's going to have some signs of rust, which I hope he doesn't, but he might. And how'd you make that bigger?
I hit the bigger button.
I didn't even know there was a bigger button. That's pretty cool. I just saw it get, like, what the hell?
It can go
How'd
so
you
many
make that
places.
bigger?
How'd you make that bigger?
I just rubbed on it.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is blow. But look, I think that for me, I would rather him come back when he's 100%. But still, a little bit of me is like, I don't know if the Rams game is the game I want him coming back. That's a lot of pressure. Not that he can't handle pressure. I mean, he's a good quarterback, but I want to make sure that it's the right situation. Our offensive line has been pretty bad lately, and I feel like, we need to protect Brock Purdy as much as possible. And putting him up against a guy like Jared Verse makes me nervous. Going against Thibodeau and what's his name? Abdul Carter.
Brian Burns.
Yeah, they're like coming after you nonstop. And so my fear is that going into this game, we might see the same thing we saw against the Texans, where Mac Jones is under pressure all the time. Now, they are bad against the run, so they should be running the football, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah, man, I'm excited that that's the news, that he's trending the right direction, because you guys know how much I've been a pain in the ass about the injuries, and I'm just complaining about them, talking about them, mocking them. But listen, I love Mac. I love what he's done. I know I said some things early in the season that came off a little bit ridiculous. When it comes down to it, I'd rather have Brock Purdy playing. However, not on that turf in New York. Let him sit another week. He's your starting quarterback. He better be ready against the Rams. No excuse. I don't care if he's been rusty or he's rusty or if he's missed games. You're getting paid a lot of money, dude. You got to figure it out. You got to figure out how to be ready when you get paid that much money. No excuse. So, yeah, great news. Can we just get more trending in the right direction news? Maybe the next 3 to 4 weeks, please.
Well, we kind of are. We are. I mean, yes, Yeturgos Matos, he's not going to be there, but we know he's trending in the right direction. Be there for the Rams game. But
me and Sterling think he's trending back in the direction he came from.
Well, I think he's trending in a place where they're like, hey, you know what? When you're healthy, let us know because we're just going to keep adding players, and you could join us whenever you deem ready, I guess.
That's probably a good segue into the rest of the injury report in this game against the Giants. Jake Brendel's not going to play. I think he'll probably return either against the Rams or the Cardinals. Shouldn't be out for too much longer, which I don't know if fans would even like him to return this year, but we shall see as the year progresses. Yeturgos Matos, after practicing yesterday, did not practice today and will not play on Sunday. Bryce Huff should be back against the Rams next weekend, but not going to play this Sunday. And as Aaron calls him, Princess Pearsall is also out this Sunday. But he is trending in the right direction. He was practicing, or at least on the sideline yesterday and 2 days ago. So some good news for the San Francisco 49ers, and really even more so because of guys like D. Winters, Jordan Elliott, Sam Okawanu, all questionable. Alongside them are two guys on injured reserve, Ben Barch and Spencer Burford, maybe two left guard options for them that might come off IR as soon as this Sunday. So some good news there, but I want to steer things back to Brock Purdy for a second because we have a comment here in the YouTube chat by one of our favorites, that being Strawberry Reacts. And they say, if he's the backup, he's been benched. He's not returning. He's been benched. I want to push back on that because I don't think Brock Purdy has been benched. And really, there is no confirmation he'll be the backup this Sunday. In fact, Kyle Shanahan today said that he has a chance to be the third emergency quarterback in case Jones or Martinez goes down with injury. So I don't think Purdy's been benched. I think that'd be pretty foolish to say. However, I don't really love Purdy maybe being active on Sunday if he isn't 100%. Because the last thing you want to have to do, or the last thing you want to do, is have three quarterbacks active and then maybe not have a defensive tackle or a cornerback or a linebacker, knowing that some other positions have been depleted and likely you can survive a game against the Giants with Mac Jones. Now, maybe there is some trepidation because of the turf, as Aaron said. It's been pretty scary for San Francisco dating back to 2020. You saw this year, Malik Neighbors jumped for a ball and his leg exploded. So there's certainly some concern, but Brock's not been benched. That's pretty crazy. But I think that the Niners are kind of playing with fire no matter when they bring him back. I'm leaning towards maybe after week 10, but do you think it might be too soon for Brock to return? And do you like him maybe being active on Sunday?
It's hard to tell with this team and the way that they deal with injuries, because we thought he was ready to go back for the Jacksonville game, and that set him back, weeks upon weeks. And if you go based on the report that was during the Sunday night game, where he essentially said one move in the wrong direction could reset the whole injury again. Man, I want him back when he's healthy. And I want him to be here for the stretch run. Like if we have a chance to win some games down the road and during the stretch, I love Mac and stuff, but like Mac's so immobile, and I feel like the Niners offense it loses a lot with Mac in there when it comes to plays that are not when plays are not being run the way that they're drawn up. Anytime there has to be any ad-libbing, it turns disastrous for this offensive line and for Mac Jones. So I miss that element of our game where you can extend some plays and have, guys like McCaffrey or Pearsall when he's playing, guys can change direction and get open. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like it's so hard to say. That turf for sure. He should be why even like you said, don't have an emergency quarterback in New York. CJ West was a healthy scratch last week. Like we could use him.
That was a really dumb move. Scratch. And then everyone got hurt.
We need as many defensive linemen as we can. So yeah. Set him out, make him inactive, have Martinez be the backup, and we'll live to fight another day with Brock.
Dre?
That's all.
What was the question again? He went on for so long that I was like, what are we talking about? We're talking about Brock Purdy, obviously. I was like, what was the question again?
No, it's just more so simply, do you like the fact that Brock, who seemingly is not 100% yet, might be active, take up a roster spot, and maybe might come back too soon?
No, I think he's able to play this Sunday, but I think that they want to make sure that he's 100%. I mean, they talked about how there was a dramatic difference in his performance in practice. So like they saw a huge improvement. So I think he could go. And I think that's why even Shanahan kind of alluded to the fact that he may be the backup quarterback going into Sunday's game. And with Mac Jones getting smacked around as much as he does, I would rather have Brock Purdy coming into the game than what's the other guy's name?
Adrian Martinez.
Adrian Martinez coming in. I mean, granted, he was really good in the UFL, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. I'd be happy if Brock was the backup. And I think because they're playing on turf, I'd rather have Mac Jones get this one last start and then go to Brock. But it's a lot of pressure. I mean, you're putting him up against the LA Rams. That's probably the best team in the division next to the Seahawks. So there's a lot at stake in this game on Sunday because you can't lose back-to-back games and you can't fall to 5-4 going into LA. That puts even more pressure on Brock to not fail. And we've seen Brock, when the pressure's on and the talent isn't there, that he will try to force things and make things happen, and which could lead to interceptions or turnovers. So that's why I'm hoping that they get the win this Sunday.
Is there any hesitation for either of you that Brock's initial injury was he needs 2 to 5 weeks? He came back in 2 weeks, got hurt again. That was week 4 against Jacksonville. Now we're going in week 9. So it's been 5 weeks, or going to be 5 weeks this Sunday. Do you think that's enough time for Brock to be healed? Dre said he probably is healthy enough to play this Sunday. San Francisco seemingly wants to play him against the Rams next weekend. Do you think that maybe there's a chance because of how bad these doctors on the team seem to be and how really they don't have a grip on reality with how serious these guys are hurt, that no matter how long it takes Brock to come back, we're never truly going to feel good about it. I don't feel good about it. Every snap, I'm going to be scared that one hit, one cut, one tackle, that the toe flares up and he's out for the season or even longer. In the case of, say, Joe Burrow, who missed and going to miss until December if he ever comes back this season alone. So do the team doctors or this team's history of injuries scare you when it comes to Purdy's return?
The team scares me in general with their health issues. You guys know that. The thing with the turf toe is, man, it could be either. It could be he's ready in 5 weeks, or he could end up missing the season. I feel like if the Niners were floundering more than they are right now, like they were really I say they were I don't know, they have like one win, and they were going into this game, I would sit Brock for the season. There'd be no reason to bring him back.
Right.
I think the only reason that we're having this discussion is because as of now we're still competitive. And we have a record that, if the season ended today, we'd probably be a wild card team. So it can go either way with Brock. And this team, my biggest, I don't understand anytime John or Kyle talk, they don't really say anything when they talk about injuries. They just talk in circles. So I don't know what is going on. I'm almost beyond mad. I don't care anymore. It's a given someone's going to get hurt during the game. We know that. It just happens. And it's a given that John and Kyle are going to come up to the platform on a weekly basis or on KNBR 95.7 the game and really not say much. So it's all there. So I'm done, Andre. I know I'm taking a long time to get my thoughts.
No, it was fine. I was looking at something else.
Completely checked out of the show.
I did. I completely checked out. I was like looking at something else. No, I mean, look, whenever they talk in the press conference, and they never give you absolutes. I mean, I don't remember any team that I've ever seen that goes like, yeah, this guy's fucked. He's not going to come back. No, I mean, it is what it is. It's all PR, it's just how you do it. But I think that when it comes to Brock, look, he got hurt. They brought him back. I think they trusted him. Like, how you feeling? And then his own competitiveness was like, yeah, I'm fine. Let's go. And then he hurt himself, and it was like, okay, that was stupid. And you would hope that they would be smart enough to say, wait a minute, this is a 4 to 6 week injury. You're not coming back until you're 100%. But they let him make that call, and then they saw how bad he performed, and they were like, oh, crap, we shouldn't have done that. And I think Brock was even like, oh, crap, I shouldn't have done that. And so now they're kind of pushing it out. Should they have put him on IR after, what was that, week 4?
We got hurt in week 1 and then came back in week 4.
Week 3 is when the Jaguars game when, I'll help.
Week 4 was
week 4.
Yeah.
He should have went to IR right there.
Yep.
And then that would have then sealed the deal and say, hey, look, you're just going to rehab and get healthy. And I think that's what they should have done.
But what's crazy is that he's already missed more games than he would have of the 4 required IR games.
Right. So it still would have been a pickle anyway.
Right.
Maybe you wouldn't have lost Travis Gibson, but maybe it was a good thing because it forced their hand to make a move. But
not the Travis Gibson departure being the reason Brock Purdy didn't go on IR.
I think it's sad that the Travis Gibson departure was such a gut check to the Niner fans. It was like, oh God, we lost him, and he's he's a serviceable defensive lineman, but he's not a world beater. He's not a guy where if they went out and traded for him, like, wow, this guy's amazing. It was just, but the fact that we lost him was like, oh no, we lost him too, and he wasn't even injured. He just got plucked by the Carolina Panthers,
right?
And now the chance that he's going to sack Brock Purdy in a few weeks.
That's probably a good segue into this Sunday's game against the Giants because, there's going to be a lot of talk of, can Mac Jones lead the offense to victory and how much pressure is on him? This might be his last start for San Francisco if Purdy can return and hopefully maintain his health as the year goes on. In that same breath, though, there certainly has to be a conversation about can Purdy actually lead this offense? Whether he returns against the Rams week 10, 11 against the Cardinals, or 12 against the Panthers to a playoff run. And I think as this defense is injured and we don't know exactly, what they're going to do at next Tuesday's trade deadline, I'll throw this to you guys. If Purdy returns week 10, and let's say San Francisco wins on Sunday, so they're 6-3 going into week 10. At that point, you have to win 4 more games, get you to 10 wins, probably a wild card team if you're lucky, and the Rams falter. Maybe you're the division winner, but you have to win 10 games this year, most likely to go to the playoffs. Do you think Brock Purdy, from week 10 to week 18, 7 games, can go 4-3 in that span with this team that may at that point in time have Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Ayuk back healthy?
Yes. 100%.
Okay. Do you think Mac Jones can?
Yes. 100%.
Interesting.
The thing
I think they both can.
Both quarterbacks, it's offensive line, man. Offensive line, both lines of scrimmage last week got their ass whipped. I mean, that was just a trenches beat down, and it was a one-way.
Mac was not the problem.
It was a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. That's what it was last week.
I mean, pretty much. I mean, look, I didn't see much of anything that was like, oh, Mac, the hell's wrong with you? It was just he dropped back, and it's like, oh, God, there we go. And they would just swarm him. And Colton McKivitz couldn't stop anybody. He looked awful. Will Anderson was just running past him, like he was nothing. And I was like, oh, my God. And so, look, this is my fear of the Giants game is that what's one thing the Giants do have? Well, they have a good pass rush.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like it takes much of a pass rush to get to the quarterback when you're a defense going against the Niners O-line. So, and then, I know Ben Barch is questionable. I don't think he plays.
Okay.
But he would have been ruled out today. You would imagine, like, yeah, he's out. So there's a chance that maybe he does play.
And Burford can also play left guard too.
And getting Burford back as well is also huge for the Niners because Connor Colby, I think, is just in over his head.
Yeah.
I think he needs a moment to be like, oh my God, let me catch my breath here. These guys are just. Defenses are scheming towards him. Like, oh yeah, this guy, he's kind of weak. Let's pick on him. And they're running stunts on him. They're running all kinds of blitzes by him, and he's not doing a very good job. So getting a Ben Barch, getting a Spencer Burford is a huge upgrade from Connor Colby. And, I know the Niners did release Drew Moss. That was like, but they had to move somebody.
I find it funny that fans are like, I can't believe they let go of a UDFA backup inside offensive lineman in the middle of the year when they're getting back to inside offensive linemen who have much higher potential and can help you now. It's like the dude was going to be a practice squad player had Burford not gotten hurt, and Colby was always the backup left and right guard in the first place. Why do we care that much about a backup, maybe third string interior offensive lineman? I get it, high potential, young dude, give him a chance, but like, he never going to play ever.
I mean, it's like Jared Kingston. We haven't seen or heard from him ever since he got
they
plucked.
drafted that guy, and I think now he's in Houston.
Yeah,
like or Carolina, whatever he's at now. He doesn't play. But I do want to ask you this though, because the offense, although has not been directly tied to the quarterbacks this year for San Francisco, right? They are pretty good with Mac Jones, but for most of the season, they're averaging under 20 points. The last 3 games against the Falcons, the Giants, Falcons, the Texans, and the Buccaneers, they're averaging under 20 points in that 3-game stretch. Do you think the offense, if something doesn't change, is even formidable enough to be a playoff caliber team? That's my concern.
That's a good question.
The defense is young. They're going to make mistakes. The pass rush is dinged up. You're not getting Nick Bosa back. Fred's out for the season. The cornerbacks have been inconsistent throughout the year. The safeties were pretty bad against the Texans. Like, there are at least serious questions to ask on defense. And if the offense can't score more than 20 points a game, I think there are real concerns that this team might not go to the playoffs after all. What do you guys think of that?
I agree. The offensive line has been that bad. They have to figure something out. Like, they should have figured it out last week. Like, they should have figured out yesterday.
Well, I mean, last week they didn't have the resources. They didn't have the Ben Barch, the Spencer Burford's coming back. It was just, we got what we got, and they got hosed. But this week they have more resources, and those 2 guys coming back who are experienced, and that's going to help. But again, can they block in the run game, and can they block in pass protection? That's the biggest question, because everything else works to a degree. I mean, like, you got CMC. When you were opening holes against the Falcons, you saw him getting big chunk yardage.
Right.
Now, again, they have to be able to do that through the air and through the ground and kind of go back to, what they're made of with the play action. But it's all dependent upon if they can open up running lanes and they can pass block. And so far, they've been massively inconsistent with that.
Well, Aaron,
I mean, are we surprised though? I mean, he's a day 3.
No, we're not surprised.
Pick. He's a day 3 pick at left guard. Like, the Niners' lack of putting resources into their offensive line over the last 4 or 5 years is showing.
Absolutely.
They have the same thing, because the Miami Dolphins have the same problem. My brother is talking about it. He said that they care more about playmakers than they do about the people that have the ability to block so that playmakers can shine. You could have Jerry Rice in his prime, but if you cannot block for the quarterback, Joe Montana, Steve Young, whoever, your offense is SOL, dude. Like, I don't understand. So this is on John and Kyle. I know we're not going to talk on the offseason, but this upcoming draft, dude, they went 5 straight players on freaking defense last year's draft. They need to open the draft with a tackle, and they need to end with an offensive lineman. Like that, it's that bad.
I don't think they're going tackle now, because Trent's 36. He wants to get paid off the rest remaining of his contract. He's not retiring.
Yeah, of course.
And he's looked fine. There have been some bad games. He's 36 and he's been around for a long time. Like there've been some downplay here or there, but Trent's been overall fine. He just hasn't been Hall of Fame caliber like he has been the past half decade in San Francisco. I don't think they're going tackle. I don't think they view this tackle class like, you have to think. They are so particular with their offensive linemen. There can be 10 tackles in the draft that have first round grades by 99% of pundits. And if that guy doesn't fit their puzzle to the nth degree, they're not going to take him. And that's annoying and it's frustrating. And I get it. Like, yes, they have to find the heir to Trent's eventual departure, but I don't think they're going tackle. Now, that may change once we get into draft season, but I think you are right in the grand scheme of things of you have to pour something into the offensive line. You're bad at center. You're bad at left guard. Your right guard, who had a good year last year, is having a sophomore slump, and you're paying 2 tackles relatively high money. You like over anything, really. Tackle doesn't bother me too much. It's the interior stuff. That's the issue, because that is the fastest way to your quarterback getting sacked is the interior. That's where your entire offensive line and your run game flows through is the interior. And if that's not going to get fixed, you aren't going to be able to run the football and you can't block for your quarterback. But with all that said, they're playing the Giants on Sunday. And the Giants are a really confusing team to kind of wrap your head around because they beat the Philadelphia Eagles a handful of weeks ago. They beat the Chargers this year and gave them their first loss, I believe, of the season. Like this team has beaten good teams, but they also played rather piss poor against others. And they had the Broncos beaten, allowed 33 points in the fourth quarter alone to lose that game. The run defense ranks as one of the worst in football this season. They are near the bottom in yards per game, yards per carry, first downs allowed per game, and touchdowns allowed per game when it comes to their run defense. Their 2 starting linebackers have the 3rd and 8th worst missed tackle percentage among starters this season. We saw Christian McCaffrey touch the football 12 times against the Houston Texans. If this team does not feed Christian McCaffrey at least 18 times on the ground and have him catch the football 6 times, they are not going to win. I think every game has to be feed Christian McCaffrey because you don't have your top receivers. I thought it was near malpracticed the way they utilized CMC against Houston last Sunday. Yeah. And I think he's in for a big bounce back game. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I feel like against. Oh, go ahead. Can
I ask one question? I want to ask this to both of you. Do you think because the Niners run a gimmick offense, I call it a gimmick offense because it's kind of misdirection. It's not like your straight
motion,
classic shotgun drop back throw 45 times a game. It's a lot of movement. It's a lot of misdirection. It's a lot of window dressing. Does that hurt them when they have to evaluate talent in the draft as far as offensive linemen? Like, can this guy pull? No, he can't pull. Oh, he's the number 1 draft tackle in the draft, but we're not going to draft him because he doesn't fit our specific the way we run things because it's
requirements.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that stop them?
I think over anything, San Francisco doesn't mind drafting smaller guys that maybe aren't as strong, aren't as big, aren't as powerful, that have shorter arms, if they can be athletes. Because those guys have to pull. They have to get out in space and go get to the second level as fast as humans possibly can to open up space in the offense. So I think that is what maybe you're getting at. Now, with teams running wide zone offenses in football and inside zone offenses and having guards pull, but I think, if you can't pull as a tackle, you're not getting taken in the first round, let alone at all in the NFL. And if you are getting taken, you're a UDFA or a day 3 pick for a reason. But I think San Francisco values the athletic traits over tackles and their offensive linemen, maybe over just getting somebody in there. Like Philadelphia, they don't run the wide zone scheme. So they can just have maulers on the interior and just move the football 4 yards at a time, on their runs in their gap scheme. However, I will say this, though. San Francisco's most successful game on the ground this year, they ran the gap scheme. So maybe something's changing. Maybe Kyle realizes that, or maybe it was a one-off performance. But I do think there may be something to that. However, athletes, man, Kyle loves the RAS scores more than any other coach in football.
Thank you. That was a good answer.
But back to Christian McCaffrey, Dre, you were going to talk for a second about that. What do you make of it? Do you think he has to get the football 35 times a game to win? And do you see it happening on Sunday against the Giants?
I think the Giants are going to try and use the same schematic that the Houston Texans used to beat the Niners. Okay, we have similar traits. We have a young, quarterback, very athletic. We got a defensive line that can get pressure on the quarterback. We just got to play keep away. Don't let them have the ball. Don't let them control the time possession. And I think DeMeco Ryans knew that. Like, hey, Kyle loves to control the time possession. He wants to control it all. So we have to find ways to keep the sticks moving, and we have to convert on third down. And they were playing such soft coverage that it just everything was open underneath, like 6 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards. And once the defense was on the field for that long, they just started falling apart. And at that point, you have no rhythm on offense because you go out there, you go 3 and out. And you're like, oh my God, they just had a 15-play drive, and we went 3 and out for the second straight time. And in one of those drives, I think it was the second drive, Christian McCaffrey had to run up the middle for 6 yards, and then it was pass, punt. I was like, why wouldn't you run it again?
It was actually 8 yards. It was 2nd and 2, and they passed 2 times. In that 3rd down and 2 to gain, they completed a pass behind the line of scrimmage. And it went for -1 yard.
It was like, what are you doing? And so,
John Madden would be rolling in his grave if he saw that.
He probably was. But, I mean, when you look at the Giants, they have the number 30 ranked rushing defense in the league, allowing an average of 145.6 yards, actually 148.9 yards a game and 10 touchdowns. So that is the game plan for the 49ers. Give the ball to Christian McCaffrey. If that means you have to run a rotation with him and Robinson, then that's what you got to do. But you got to keep running the football and pounding that football. It's because they want you to become one-dimensional. They want you to throw that football. And that's what the Houston Texans did to the Niners. They took their run game away based on time and possession.
I think you're right that the Niners should run the football, pound the rock as much as you humanly possibly can. I will push back on the thought that the Giants want the Niners to pass the football, not because the Niners are a better passing offense, or at least the prospects of that isn't as great, but the Giants aren't going to have their number 1 cornerback, Cordell Flott, this Sunday. He has a concussion. Their second best cornerback, Paulson Adebo, is also not going to play this Sunday, meaning they're going to have Drew Phillips, Deion Banks as their 1 and 2 cornerbacks, and both those guys this year have a 57.2 coverage grade and a 46.6 coverage grade. Banks has allowed a perfect 158.2 passer rating when targeted this season, whereas Phillips has a 72% completion rate allowed, nearly 400 yards given up, and 2 touchdowns while being penalized 8 times. I know we're talking about running the football and they have to be, but my God, I think San Francisco's offense has no excuse to not be able to pass the football, even without Pearsall and a hindered Juwan Jennings and a inconsistent Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson. They have George Kittle. Like, this offense should be able to find success on the ground and through the air, at least simply because the Giants don't have a good run defense when they're healthy, and their secondary is banged up with everybody out, and their starting safety, Javon Holland, also might miss time. So you're right, Dre. You're right, Aaron. Yes, run the rock, and all that's true. But I think that the Niners and Mac Jones, for as conservative and as maybe limited as the offense through the air has been, really there is no excuse as to why Shanahan and company shouldn't be able to get the rock being moved through the air and on the ground on Sunday.
Well, but here's the thing, is that I think they would rather them be more of a drop-back passing team because of the fact that what's their strengths? Are their edge rushers? You got Kayvon Thibodeau, you got Abdul Carter, and what's the other guy? Brian Burns.
Yeah,
and so
9 sacks this year, 4th in football.
And so their whole game plan is, if we can stuff the box, swarm on Christian McCaffrey, make them throw the football, one of their biggest glaring weaknesses is their pass blocking. And so look at McKivitz last week. Will Anderson just used him the entire game. He couldn't stop him. And so now you're going to do that against Abdul Carter? I mean, whoever's on the other side against Trent Williams, good luck. Trent's pretty good. Yeah. But Colt McKivitz is in for the game of his life because they're going to be coming after on his side, running stunts, trying to run those fast edge rushers around him. And so the Niners need to be successful in running the football. If they can't run the football and they're averaging 3 yards a carry, it's not going to be a good sign for San Francisco. Because look, what did the Niners realize last week? We couldn't get any pass rush on CJ Stroud. And every time they try to double blitz, Stroud picked them apart. Stroud's a good quarterback. But at the same time, they were giving such soft coverage that they allowed everything underneath because I'm figuring they didn't want to give up the big play, but he just carved them up underneath. Easy passes, right?
Yeah.
So I think with Dart, they're hoping for the same thing. They can't get a pass rush, because their biggest asset right now is Jackson Dart. They don't have Cam Scatterboo. He got his ankle turned sideways. And they're going to be relying on Tracy Jr., who's a serviceable running back, but he's not a world
really
beater.
Good. Yeah.
And they don't have Malik Neighbors.
Do you think that the Niners offensive line, for as bad as it played against the Houston Texans, is that because they're really bad? Which, sure, there have been games. They're not great by any means. No one's saying that. But do you think that was more of them being terrible, or they're playing the number 1 and number 4th ranked edge rushers in football in regards to pass rush win rate? Who Anderson might be this year the best pass rusher in football. They have Thibodeau, they have Burns, and they have Abdul Carter. It presents its own unique challenge against the Giants, but would I be wrong to bet that the Niners offensive line, they can't play any worse, and they're playing a worse defense, albeit with still some good prospects up front. Aaron, do you buy that? Do you say, no, they're terrible, Sterling, you're being stupid, or am I right?
No, it's a combination of both. I mean, who knew that if you had healthy defensive linemen going at it, and you have 3 of them on the field at the same time, like the Texans do, who knew you'd get pressure, right? Like back in 2019 when we had Bosa, D. Ford, Buckner, and Armstead. I mean, 4 guys rushing consistently, getting pressure consistently, didn't matter the offensive line. So the Niners have major issues on their offensive line, like you said, especially the interior. You got Pooney, who's regressed incredibly bad. How much of that is injury? Brendel's always sucked. We've always known that. He's always been bad. And then left guard, I mean...
Well, now it's Matt Hennessy, though.
Yeah, it's Matt Hennessy. Hennessy!
Maybe he plays a little better. I don't know. I think it's a combination of both, but I do think that the 49ers are being kind of exposed for their lack of putting assets into their offensive line. It's obvious.
Yes, you could make the argument easily that San Francisco has neglected their offensive line in terms of adding, talent through offensive line. Yes, they have Trent Williams. He's amazing. That's great. But one guy can't carry an entire offensive line.
No.
And we've seen other teams make a priority of drafting, good offensive linemen, and the Niners haven't done that or even go out and try and sign them. We've seen them in the past in former regimes where they tried to get, a top flight center or a top flight guard. Now it's like, let's spend all the money on our playmakers and let's sign and develop our offensive linemen. We can find guys out there, to fill our needs. And, look, granted, they've been to the Super Bowl twice. So the formula has worked to some extent, but it's starting to catch up with them. And, look, they just signed Colt McKivitz. Trent
He's not
Williams
going anywhere.
Trent Williams is probably going to come back next season, bearing any horrific injury this year, knock on wood.
Which he avoided a big one against the Houston Texans. Did you guys see that?
No.
His own guy, whether it was Colby or Hennessy, rolled up on his knee and he went down and grabbed it and then got back up and was fine. So, not that the year has been great for San Francisco.
That would have been the end right there.
But
Aaron would have shattered his light.
Good luck. They kind of dodged a bullet there and wouldn't. They would have had to play Austin Peasants or Pleasants. Against the Texans,
he is a peasant.
He might be a peasant because of how bad he is, but
and guys, don't forget too. This Sunday marks the return of Demetrius Flanagan fouls. He's on the Giants.
Oh my God.
DFF. He's going to be there somewhere. Special teams. I don't know. But when you have Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and don't forget, they got Darius Alexander. I love that guy coming out of Toledo.
Yeah.
He's been serviceable this year, but they got to run the football, man. If they can run the football, they're going to win this game. It's flat out.
Is there more pressure? Because you guys mentioned Jackson Dart, and Aaron wanted to get into him and how this team can kind of guard against him and scheme against him this Sunday. Is there more pressure on San Francisco's defense or offense to perform well on Sunday? Like, which one of those units will allow San Francisco to win more than the other?
Defense, 100%. It might have been your guy, Johnny Dells, Dre, who broke down some film of just how much communication was so bad. Yeah. It was so bad in that Giants game or that Texans game. I mean, guys weren't lining up in the right spot. People weren't accounting for the running back on that one play where he got like 60 yards. Then you have Brian Baldinger. Was it Baldinger? Talking about them playing soft zone the whole game, the linebackers sitting back. Like the defense played so incredibly bad last week. They don't have any push up front to stop the run. They don't rush the passer, and they can't cover on the back end. So essentially, they're just 11 guys in your way as you go downfield and score. They have the
maybe in your way. Maybe.
Man, I don't have a lot of confidence in this defensive group. And this doesn't say much. I have more confidence in our offensive line with some trickery and maybe keeping people in the block, and maybe McCaffrey has a good game and that alleviates some things. There's no, you can smoke and mirror your way on offense, but on defense, dude,
smoke and mirrors.
It's 11 on 11.
Wait. So this defense who held the Falcons to 10 points, that was equally as injured. Now they had Bryce Huff, but they had
Keanu White. Was atrocious though.
Yeah, but Jackson Dart also has 7 turnover-worthy plays this year and 5 turnovers entirely. And their offensive ranking goes from 6th in football in the first quarter to 17th in the second, 20th in the third, and 21st in the fourth. Like, they don't know how to close games. Their turnovers are a big problem. So I think, like, they didn't get takeaways against Michael Penix. They can get takeaways against Jackson Dart. Now they don't have the personnel, no Fred and no Nick, but, like, there's a real chance that I think the key to this game is being able to face the Giants in that first quarter. And if you can stop their initial push, they will crumble. They don't have the personnel. Their offensive line's okay, but their starting right tackle is not playing on Sunday. It's going to be Marcus Bowe, who was out of Purdue, a guy that can play guard and tackle that I wanted San Francisco to take, but having a pretty rough year as a rookie. And he is right now, if not the worst, like the second worst rated pass blocker amongst tackles in football.
Yeah, but I mean, we've played against teams where Sterling has brought up this guy is like the worst,
you're right.
right tackle in football, and then we can't get a pass rush. We're just like,
you're 100% correct.
We got against 2 teams that were down all their pass catchers, and yet we're getting gouged by 4th and 5th guys.
The Houston Texans were down their starting corner, and it didn't matter.
And TJ Stroud and Baker Mayfield are much better than Jackson Dart are.
Jackson Dart's pretty good. I'm not going to play him down.
Why?
But, okay, well, hold on.
Bad against the Broncos in the fourth quarter. They scored 33 points against them because he was bad and gave the ball away.
But still, he's a rookie. I mean, what do you expect?
Well, I mean,
but here's the thing.
The Niners are playing the same guy.
When you talk about was there more pressure on the offense or the defense?
Yeah,
I would say the offense is more pressure on them. They're healthier than the defense is. You have Mac Jones, your starting quarterback. You have George Kittle. You have CMC. You have weapons on offense you can use. If they cannot put up points, then they can't stay in the game.
Yeah.
The Niners defense, as bad as they were against Houston, they held them to 6 points on their first 2 long drives. The Niners offense couldn't get past third down.
You're right.
And so that was the dagger. And then once the Texans scored their first touchdown, made it 13-0, it was like, uh-oh. You know what it felt like? When they scored that touchdown, it felt like I was watching the San Francisco Giants fall down 3 runs in the first inning. Like, well, I guess that's game. Because you knew they weren't going to come back. Yeah, you're like, oh, man, 3. If it was a 5-run first, you're like, well, I guess that's...
Turn this one off.
Yeah.
what else is on TV?
I guess I better go start making dinner now. You know,
Dude, I never felt that the Niners, there wasn't a point other than a little bit early on that I felt the Niners really were ever close in that game. I mean, their offense ineptitude was through the roof. And defensively, they didn't give up touchdowns early, which was great. But they could not get them off the field on third down last
They couldn't
week.
get off the field on third down, but they also couldn't get themselves on the field on third down.
A lot of bad tackling on third downs. Like that was, I think the
2 games this
Niners,
year where the tackling has been that atrocious. That in the Bucs game, where you have a sack in your lap and you slide down the quarterback's body.
Why'd you have to bring that up? God damn! I finally got that out of my brain. That was the end of the game. When he escaped and got that first down, I was like, that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
Why can't I say what everything makes everybody cringe?
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying I was like, but that's what I'm saying. The pressure is on the offense. The offense has to score. You have Kyle Shanahan as your play caller.
Mm-hmm.
The defense
has Robert Saleh as their
I know, but the defense is missing their 2 best players. And you just brought in Cleveland Farrell and Keon White. And you're like, okay, we're trying to piece this together. I got Tatum Bethune, who last season was almost irrelevant. And now he's our Mike linebacker. It's like, holy shit. D. Winters is like, my knee is hurt. What's wrong with it? I don't know. We haven't said what's wrong with it, but all I know is there's a knee injury and I'm questionable. They didn't even say what's wrong with his knee. Like, is it a PCL? Is it a sprained knee?
It's probably a bruise.
A deep knee, bone bruise? What's going on? And so there's a lot of question marks on the defense.
If it's a bone bruise, man, freaking sack up, man. Get on.
Pearsall will be like, hey, I got you. But so to me, there's going to be some bad plays on defense because they got a lot of injuries. They got guys who are out. On offense, they also have guys who are out, but you have more starting caliber players that need to get the job done. They need to be able to move this football. And the one thing they couldn't do last week was what had they been doing in all their wins? They've been getting close enough for Eddie Pinheiro to hit field goals and keep tallying up points. They couldn't even get past the 50-yard line. It was like, what is going on? Yeah. And like that play you were talking about, Mac Jones throws a pass to the right sideline, and it's short of the first down. It was like, okay, well, that was pointless. Like, why'd you throw it there for? Probably because he didn't want to get sacked. He was like, oh, God, they're coming. And so that's why it's so important that they run the football, because otherwise you're going to force Mac Jones to drop back and to pass on third down and shotgun, and the Giants are going to pin their ears back and just come right after him and apply pressure on Mac Jones. And that's what we can't afford. Now, if it's Brock Purdy and he's healthy, Brock Purdy can escape the pocket and make things happen, which we all know. You could have a stellar pass rush, but if that quarterback breaks contain on a consistent basis, that is so demoralizing for a pass rush.
That might be something that the Niners have to face this Sunday against Jackson
Dart.
The Niners in previous years have really struggled against mobile quarterbacks. They've been better this season, like they really have been.
Yeah, they have been.
Outside of the Baker Mayfield big run, they've been pretty good at it this year. Is that because I saw this Niners defense, and it was my biggest complaint of that game, besides the bad tackling, is the inability to be patient, leaving your zones, leaving your mans that you're covering, but also just kind of you see the football and you don't really know how to react, and your reaction either is to not react at all, get caught between, or over pursue so badly that you look like you're tackling air or you're running after nobody. I think that is a big concern for me against Jackson Dart, where throwing the football, not too worried about it, but I think the read option might be a big thing the Giants will utilize, or at least try to expose this really young Niners defense. Mainly their linebackers, who I love D. Winters, but he's flying around sometimes and not hitting anybody. Same thing with Bethune and other guys in that room. And really even on the back end with the safeties too, like they play so aggressive and so quick. Sometimes there ain't nobody there to tackle when they get there, or guys just pause and they're flying by him going 100 miles an hour like, oh crap, what do I do? Aaron, you wanted to bring up Jackson Dart and San Francisco's defense against him. What do you think about it?
Yeah, the mobility has always been the crux of this team, even when they had good players. They just have an inability to wrap up guys. The one concern I had on the Niners defense, and we brought this up because I've been kind of critical of Mykel Williams not really showing much, but he's also playing out of position where, I mean, like, he's better suited if you have an edge guy on the outside that can rush the passer to kick inside and be, a disruption inside. I watched that team last week, and Mykel was included. Man, when they over pursue the run on the inside, they get sucked in on the inside and the outside. Once the running back hits the tackle, goodbye. See ya. Like, you're right. There's so much over pursuit. Either they completely bite inside, or they get penetration when the run starts, and then the guy runs past them. Like, they don't wrap up when they're in the hole. So it's, man. But like him as a mobile quarterback, we had problems doing that with Bosa in the lineup and everybody else. It does give me more concern considering, Clelin Ferrell and Keon White and Sam O might be rushing the passer. Yeah, I mean, they have enough on their plate to worry about being as bad as they were last week and looking just silly at times how bad they were. And now they have a mobile quarterback as well. Like you said, though, there's a good thing. He has the tendency to make turnover worthy plays. Niners got to be patient. Maybe they catch a stray interception or two or force a fumble or something. I don't know. They're going to have a challenge, though.
Mykel Williams has 16 pressures, which is third among all rookies. Number one is, unfortunately, Abdul Carter, who has 32.
He's also playing next to guys you already said, Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau.
Right.
We're going to take up double teams
and I think that was the goal with Mykel Williams, was that you're going to be playing next to Bryce Huff or Nick Bosa. These guys are going to help develop you along the way, and now they're both out. Granted, they said Huff will be back for the Rams game, but still, now you lose the versatility of moving Mykel Williams to the interior on different sets, on different plays. So, but I still think that Mykel Williams has been a really good draft pick for the Niners. There's been a lot of talk lately about, is he worth his draft pick? I think it was number 11 pick in the draft.
Yes.
Was he the right guy for that position? Yes. Who should have gone? Tyler Warren?
I feel like if he's in the
good year.
If we have
he's having a good year, but I mean, he'd be the second tight end behind George Kittle. Now, granted, he would have been the starter because Kittle was out for so long. So maybe that would have been a good idea. But
people questioning Mykel Williams, I don't think are giving him a fair shake, because the plan was to kind of have him be the steamroller to free up guys like Bryce Huff and free up Nick Bosa. Now he doesn't get to do that. He's double teamed out the freaking wazoo.
Yep.
And I think it's a problem where, that's a good thing for San Francisco because somebody else will hopefully get free. But the problem is nobody else is getting free.
Nobody's getting
free.
I think
that's go ahead.
But he's leading the league, or at one point leading the league in the amount of times he's getting double teamed on defensive snaps. So, look, we've seen him on different plays where he eats up double teams and frees up Alfred Collins. These guys are learning to work together. So I think he's been a good draft pick. I like Mykel Williams a lot. And I think he's going to continue to get better. The problem is that Mykel Williams was never going to be an elite pass rusher. That's kind of like what he wasn't, even though he was a good, he's a defensive end. He sets the edge. He's better. He can also work the interior. That's kind of what they got with Keon White as well. So that's going to be kind of cool to see them kind of, move him in and out of the lineup. But I think the Niners realized, hey, look, we got no pass rush on CJ Stroud. And he was able to pick us apart because he didn't have to really hurry. We couldn't speed him up. So what do? They make a move.
That's not true. They sped up CJ Stroud. They just played soft off zone coverage the entire time,
giving him multiple
outlets. That was the problem. It wasn't the blitzing. It was you can't blitz and play soft off zone coverage. The Rams did it against San Francisco, and Mac Jones threw for 400 passing yards against them and helped win that game. San Francisco did the exact same thing and allowed 3 guys to be open at the same time every single play.
So would you say this game was on Robert Saleh? Saleh should have made that adjustment and got them out of that. But why didn't he? But why didn't he? It wasn't my good game. Well, I mean, that's a question for him, not me. What did he?
I don't know.
What did he say?
He said that I have to be better. And I think that is really him taking accountability of like, it wasn't my best game either. I think that's okay to say. Now, is it excusable? No. You expect Saleh and Kyle Shanahan to be on their game all the time. Sometimes you aren't, though. And I think it's more frustrating when guys like me and you, fans of the team and guys that cover the team, can see what the issue is. And you're like, why isn't the guy that's paid to do it doing it, right? And I don't know why that was. I'm sure they have more insight than we do, so I'll give it to them. But it didn't work. And so I think this Sunday, you can still blitz and be aggressive, but you have to play press coverage. Now, maybe there are concerns because San Francisco's safeties cannot really cover deep downfield on the back end. And if you play press and guys get behind you and you don't bring guys home, because San Francisco's defense has had that problem really since 2023 of wrapping up sacks, that if you don't do that, you're going to allow 40-yard touchdowns a lot in this game. So, or even against the Houston Texans. So, it was a bad coaching game from Saleh and Shanahan entirely, but I do think there is a chance to bounce back in a big way, knowing that you're playing a worse quarterback in a worse offense that will make mistakes. Stroud is not a mistake-prone quarterback. He just had bad weapons in a brand new system. That's different than the Giants, who are a young offense, doesn't have their weapons, but also a quarterback that will make mistakes as the game progresses.
Well, it was tough to see Stroud play so good against the Niners defense when in the previous week he didn't play very well against the Seattle defense, and you're like, wait,
it's also that prime time in Seattle.
But yeah, so that was tough to watch. But like before, the biggest mistake the Niners ever made was not signing DeForest Buckner. Ever since that offseason where they didn't bring him back and they went a different direction after that Super Bowl year, we've never had that crushing defensive pass rush.
You think that is their biggest mistake this regime?
Well, I wouldn't say the biggest, but that was a pretty big mistake. Okay, whatever. I don't think they literally, but I think that was such a big mistake. I mean, come on. Sure. Like, that was huge.
Well, okay, so that was more so to pay other guys on the roster and keep.
Yeah, but still, that defensive line was dominant.
Like, I don't think DeForest Buckner being on the roster helps them win 2 Super Bowls. Or he was there the first one. I don't think they win 2023 with DeForest Buckner. Like, the defense was good for 3.5 quarters. The offense couldn't muster some points, and the defense faltered late because Steve Wilkes wasn't doing his job, and guys couldn't get home against a really good Chiefs offensive line.
Like, at the time, yes, that was a really good offensive line.
I think the offensive line's been a much bigger issue than losing to DeForest Buckner 5 years ago now.
Well, there's plenty of issues that the Niners can lean on. I was like, hey, we screwed that up. But I think, not bringing him back was a big one. I mean, that defensive line was absolutely dominant, and they couldn't run against them. They couldn't throw against them. They would just eat apart offensive lines like I've never seen before. And then they were like, well, let's just let him go and we'll draft Javon Kinlaw. And then it was like,
that was a bigger mistake than letting DeForest Buckner go. Go ahead, Aaron, though. Go ahead.
I feel like a lot of people who are critical of Mike Hell, say maybe like myself, is when you see the draft position and you expect a guy who's picked in the top 15 to be kind of a game wrecker or an all-pro, someone who's can make plays on their own. They don't need to have a great team around them in order to make them shine. I guess that's my biggest thing. And I think some other fans, even Larry Krueger's made some comments about Mike Hell, not necessarily not doing a good job. Just, he's not making he's not making, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he's not causing havoc. He's not creating plays on defense. But like you guys said, I see him more as like an interior guy, kind of like who are we talking about? Defensive tackle wise.
Well, he's more like Eric Armstead than Buck.
He reminds me a lot of Eric Armstead, where he's better inside with a guy outside who can rush the passer. Yes. His strength, his size, his push. It just sucks that he has to kind of have all this apparatus around him in order for him to be effective. You would love somebody that you pick in the top 15 to be able to get to the quarterback or, make plays on the quarterback without having to have all these things going right in order for him to kind of shine. So that's where I get a little bit impatient. But I know in my heart, like if a healthy team God forbid you stay healthy on defense, like some of these pass rush
good
that
luck.
we've seen this year. Good luck with that. If Bose is playing well and Bose is playing, you have Huff on the other side and you kick him inside, all of a sudden he looks like the player that you drafted. So the injuries on the 49ers, he is also a rookie. And it's funny, we, including myself, had a lot of ill will against Alfred Collins. And Alfred Collins has in flashes shown more, I think, than all three defensive linemen that have been drafted so far, including CJ West. So
if you
think
back,
Alfred Collins has shown more than Michael?
Here and there. I didn't say all the time. I said in flashes.
I think they've both done really well.
If you'd rank them, you'd, I think, clearly say Michael, Alfred, and West, who West was a healthy and active last Sunday, so I don't know what's going on with him.
What was going on with that? I couldn't believe that. I was like, you drafted this guy.
Bodies. They got to have bodies, and they said, we're okay.
And then, of course, Collins went down, Elliott went down, Kalia Davis is falling over. You're just like, oh, my God, and you had to make him inactive. I wonder who it was. Who was the player? They're like, let's make CJ West inactive, and we'll make
Jordan Watkins.
This guy active.
They had to have 5 receivers healthy.
A guy who they're never going to use the correct way because Kyle refuses that.
Well, I think it's not even that. I just think he's not going to see the football field. He's just not.
Yeah.
Because they don't play more than 3 receivers at a time. Ever.
Yeah. When do they ever have a 5 receiver set? They never do.
Never.
Or a 4 receiver set. They rarely ever really do that.
Tried on Madden. You can't even get them to run a 4 receiver set on that game.
Well, you don't have to because you have Kittle and you have Christian McCaffrey, so it alleviates the pressure of that. But okay, then you don't need to have Robinson, Jennings, Bourne, Watkins, and Sky Moore active.
Dude, Sky Moore is an unnecessary player on this team.
This is worse. I'm looking at the 2020 draft when they drafted Javon Kinlaw. I know I'm going off base here. We just talked about Javon Kinlaw. They traded draft picks with the Bucks, and the Bucks drafted Tristan Wirfs.
Right.
That's who the Niners should have drafted, was Tristan Wirfs. But they drafted Javon Kinlaw.
You imagine those bookends at offensive line?
But the guys that they passed up on, Jerry Jeudy, AJ Terrell, it's a good corner. CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson.
They got Ayuk that year, though.
Patrick Queen. Justin Jefferson? He's probably the best receiver in the freaking league.
I said it. I said, No, I said to CeeDee Lamb.
Patrick Queen, he's a great linebacker at LSU.
Patrick Queen sucks. What are you talking about?
Well, he had a good year.
The Pittsburgh Steelers would send him to Ukraine if they couldn't say, "Fight the war, brother. We'll see you next year."
And then
he's so bad.
The Niners did draft Brandon Ayuk. That's good.
He's been pretty good when he's healthy.
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love is a good quarterback.
He is a good quarterback.
He's good.
He's not.
He always gets hurt. But anyway.
No, he does. He always makes a dumb play on the field. There's always
Chase Young was the number 2 pick in the draft.
I mean, who was in San Francisco last year? I do find it funny though when Niner fans are like, "Well, you should have had Tristan Wirfs," like they didn't have McGlinchey, who was a first-round pick 2 years prior. I get it, future is now, so they were never going to take a tackle that year anyways.
Okay. Now here's my point and why I even brought this up. Bobo nailed it. Javon Kinlaw, Solomon Thomas, Trey Lance. These are guys the Niners have drafted. Drake Jackson.
Do you know the theory behind the Solomon Thomas pick?
What, because he was at Stanford?
No, that's literally it. Him and John Lynch had a class together. And that's why they picked him. It's crazy.
It was so dumb.
That was the experience of John Lynch in his first year.
He's like, I love this guy. I want to bring him on.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why I bring it up. Dante Pettis. Thank you. Ehrenberg, Ricky Pearsall, the verdict's still out. I think he's still going to be a good player.
Good, man. Chill.
He's going to be a good player.
And by the way, the Pearsall nickname, Princess, I didn't give him that name. I stole that.
Yeah, you did.
You're a thief.
I
don't know what's worse, a thief or a liar, Aaron.
I'm neither. So I don't know what you're talking about. No, I literally stole it from somebody. I just thought it was funny. I think it's funny. I like
It's funny.
I think it's funny. To me, the injuries now are just a joke. Like, I don't get mad anymore. I just laugh like maniacally. Like, yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Okay. So let me get back to my point. In round 2 in 2022, they did Drake Jackson, and then they put Tyrion Davis Price. 2 busts.
That's bad.
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
Jair Brown, Jake Moody in 2023. Cam Latu.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Jair Brown, I don't know.
Pretty garbage.
Cost controllable garbage right now.
You go back even further.
That's all it is.
First 3 picks in first round, second round, third round. Trey Lance, Aaron Banks, Trey Sermon.
Yeah.
And you go back to the 2020, Kinlaw, Ayuk, McKivitz. McKivitz was the 5th round pick, so they had 2 first round picks and used on Kinlaw and Ayuk.
Hey, at least we got the famous Kinlaw Grant Cohn episode. That was
great. That was great.
Itself.
But then when you go into 2019,
in the woods eating that squirrel, I was like, yo, dude, you about to get rabies, man. What are you doing?
Oh, we're like in the 3rd round, 2019, Jalen Hurd.
Yeah.
Dante Pettis in the 2nd round, 2018. Okay, the list goes on.
Do you know what's crazy, though? Is that
Jalen Hurd.
A lot of those guys...
Solomon Thomas and Reuben Foster.
Well, Reuben Foster could play. He just couldn't not get in trouble off the football field.
Yeah,
and since then, it is like that burned the bridge for San Francisco drafting Bama players. Like that was their first year as a regime. They take Foster. They felt lied to by Nick Saban and the guys at Bama, and they haven't taken one since, I believe, because of that. Like, they've been burned by it. They're saying, no way, we're not taking guys like that. And then Hurd broke his back and couldn't even fly to the Super Bowl. It was that bad. He broke it against the Cowboys in preseason. Peter King called him the potential rookie of the year. He breaks his back and you never see him again.
So my point is this. The Niners have been dog shit at drafting in the 2nd round, the 3rd round, the 1st round. They have not been very good. Granted, they drafted Nick Bosa, but I mean, who wouldn't draft Nick Bosa at that point? Yeah. So some of these picks, you're like, well, you'd have to be a moron not to draft that guy with that 1st round pick. This is why I would trade a 2nd round pick for an elite pass rusher, because you haven't proven that you can even use these picks efficiently.
Okay. True.
And so that's why, if you want to get an elite player in a trade, maybe you do give up the 2nd round pick because you haven't done much with it in your whole organization.
Okay.
This is a regime.
But I think what you're getting at is something that you DM us constantly about.
Damn right.
Which I appreciate. Is that Dre is a big advocate for San Francisco trading essentially whatever it takes to acquire Trey Hendrickson at the trade deadline. And I will say this, Dre, for maybe my lack of belief in it happening, you are not alone. Niner fans, for whatever the reason could be saying going all in. It could simply be, you're terrible at drafting, so why not take a risk on somebody, take a swing, if you will. It is amongst the fan base a very common opinion to say, go get Trey Hendrickson. Aaron, what do you think of that? But also on top of it, do you guys even think this is possible, and why? Aaron, go first, then Dre. You can rant for an hour if you need to tell me why it's going to happen.
I personally, I'm not against the Trey Hendrickson move if they could figure out a way to get him here and at the same time protect assets
in one piece
and be able to re-sign him. I would love to have him on this team.
Let the record be known, he's currently injured.
And he's currently injured, okay. But I argue this with a player. I argue this with somebody on X who was upset about the Keon White move and the Clelin Ferrell move, saying that the Niners were dumpster diving, which sometimes I say they are too. But I also understand that you can't, every signing that you make can't be an all-pro. They're just not going to give up assets for somebody who, one, if you're not going to re-sign, you are automatically off the books. You're not coming to the 49ers unless you're going to play in 2026 and possibly beyond. And they're just they value those early picks for whatever reason, and I think the Niners have a plan in place, not only this past draft but this coming draft too, to once again, get younger on this team with cheaper players, and they don't want to sacrifice that for a guy who's only going to be here 12 games, 13 games or something like that, and then they're going to lose him in free agency. When I look at players that would be a possibility, I do look at Thibodeau, but is that any different? Would he be just as expensive?
He'd be around for 2 years.
Right.
I would love Thibodeau. Don't get me wrong. I'd be like, yes.
I feel like guys like Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, if the Niners going to, I feel like they're more on the side of what the Niners would do, just because they're not going to garner as much draft capital. And two, if you do lose them in free agency, you're not I don't know. They're not game changers like Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson, if you bring him in here, you're expecting him to transform this pass rush from a bunch of also rans to something formidable, especially when Bryce Cuff comes back. So while I would love for it to happen, I just don't see it happening with the current roster construction, with the current financial constraints that they've been put on, especially this season. Even though they have a ton of money under the cap, they're still eating $90 million in dead cap space. Probably could be more now. So, man, I would love to see Trey Hendrickson in a 49ers jersey. I love how these reporters are like, the Niners are at the top of the list when good and well John's just not going to make that move. It's just not going to happen. Anytime I see a guy like Hendrickson, I think Eagles, I think Rams, I think certain teams, I think a team like Buffalo should consider it.
But that's what I'm saying. Do you want the Eagles, the Rams to get this guy?
We're not even. We might not even be good enough this year. We're gonna figure out a lot on.
That's my point.
Sunday.
I think that you can work a deal with this guy where you make the trade, and if only if he signs an extension. If he's here just for this year,
willing to pay him though? That's the question.
Well, I'm not paying Juwan Jennings. I'm letting him walk.
That's fine. That's fine. He's not under contract next year anyways. So what are you paying Trey Hendrickson after this season? You just saw Michael Parsons get $45 million per year. Hutchinson got $40 million per year. Hendrickson's getting at least $35 per year.
He's getting at least $40 million. I'd probably give him
so what Hutchinson's getting. So you're going to pay Hendrickson more than Nick Bosa per season to be your number two?
Yeah, well, you can call him number two all you want, but here's the problem, though. You think Nick Bosa is going to come back and say, hey, I want more money even though I blew up my knee last season and I was out for the whole year? Fuck no.
Yes, he is.
No.
If you pay Hendrickson and make him the number two, he's going to want money. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think if you bring him in, Bosa's going to say, I want to get back because now we're going to dominate and we're going to win a Super Bowl, which is going to be badass, and then I'll worry about getting paid.
Players worry more about money than they do about winning, trust me.
If you acquire Trey Hendrickson, okay, you're almost going to offset everything you did this offseason.
Yeah.
By adding $40 million plus of money. Obviously, they can maneuver the contract in certain ways.
Yeah.
But you're going to add a 30-plus-year-old edge rusher to the roster and say, hey, we'll pay you $40 million more than Nick Bosa. And you just paid Fred, his contract goes up. You just paid Kittle, his contract goes up. Purdy's extension kicks in next year. Ayuk's value jumps like $15 million next season. You're still paying Trent. You just paid McKivitz. He's going up next season. Like, you don't have the funds to even entertain the idea of paying Trey Hendrickson after this season. And Hendrickson
I think you do.
Is going to go to free agency and say, hey, now I have 15 teams that want me and can pay me. Here's a bidding war. May the best man win.
I don't think
if you get Hendrickson, that immediately replaces Nick Bosa on the roster this year. So now you're only down Fred Warner.
It's not about this year.
If you can retain him to next year or the year after in the next season, then you have
what are the odds?
Unstoppable defensive line.
What are the odds Hendrickson willingly negotiates himself out of free agency, though? Why would he do that? Agents won't do that. He won't do that.
Here's the thing, too, is like, internally with the 49ers, John, Kyle, Saleh, they know what they have as a team this year. And I think they have an idea of what their ceiling is as far as how far they're going to go.
Yes.
You cannot, unless you are guaranteeing yourself to win a championship, like you're an unbeaten team, you got one loss, and your one loss is just some sort of fluke loss, that is the only way you take a rental on a guy like that, because you're almost positive you're going to be in the dance this year. They might not even make the playoffs this year with the way they've been playing.
Same with the Bengals. And you think they're going to be like, we're not trading him. We're going to go all in on this team. No, they're not.
Don't let the Bengals dysfunction become the Niners' problem.
But my point is, I know everyone's like, all their linebackers are like, I want to request a trade. Everybody wants out. It's like, Jesus, what's happening over there? But my point is this: if you get,
they're cheap though.
Look, I would love Thibodeau. If we got him, I'd be like, hell yeah, badass.
The odds of that happening are slim as well.
They're probably even more slim, even though the Giants are 2-6.
He's in his prime and he's
controllable.
young.
But the thing is that the Bengals are not going to pay this guy. They're not. They're paying T. Higgins and what's his face, the other receiver, Jamar Chase. They're paying all of them way too much money.
Yeah.
And they're in the same situation as the Niners, where their offensive line is awful because you can't pay anybody to come play there because they spent all their money on all their receivers and quarterback. So, I mean, look, I just think that would be the biggest move, and that would be the biggest shot in the arm for this team. Because they need a defensive leader on this roster, which they don't have right now because Fred Warner he's there, but he's in crutches.
Yeah.
And that only goes so far. So I think that making that kind of move would send the message to your team like, hey, we're not done yet. We're going for it. We just added Keon White, Cleveland Farrell, and Trey Hendrickson. That's massive, in my opinion.
If they win against the Giants on Sunday, and they are 6-3 going into the Rams game, then internally maybe they have discussions. I still don't think it'd be Hendrickson, but like I keep thinking like Jalen Phillips.
It could be Jalen Phillips.
I would see.
I don't want Bradley Chubb.
I would be pissed if San Francisco acquired Phillips, Chubb, or Hendrickson. Chubb, 1-year rental, old guy, injury prone, not going to be here past this season. The Niners don't have picks in round 5 and 6.
And Phillips is coming back from a freaking Achilles.
Right, which so I don't mind making a move for a guy coming off an injury if they're under control for more than one season. True. Phillips isn't, and that's a problem. Henderson, same thing, currently injured, and the odds are you're not going to pay him because you can't afford to. I do think there are moves they can make that are probably a little under the Thibodeau Hendrickson and more along the lines of Phillips and Chubb, but guys under contract for the next couple of seasons to maybe the hit of losing a 4th-round pick not feel as hard or bad as the years goes on. San Francisco has 8 draft picks this year. Only one of those is on day 3. They have a 1st-round pick, a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, and 4 right now scheduled 4th-round draft picks, and a 7th-round draft pick.
That's huge.
And a 7th-round draft pick they may not have if Keon White plays 7 games for the team this season. They may not have a pick after round 4 this year. They have to make sure they maintain those things and make sure whoever they pick or trade for is on the roster next year as well, because you lose that pick and that player option if
That's why I like
don't.
the Keon. That's why I like the Keon. The Keon move. He also was playing out of position where he was from. He's more of an outside pass rusher like a Huff. He's not a stand-up guy. So that's another place.
But he can also slide inside, though, like a Menahu could and like Michael can on the interior.
But this is this is one thing I do kind of worry about when it comes to a guy like Trey Hendrickson or a big name defensive end, defensive tackle, is that the Niners are like, dude, we got a whole bunch of 4th-round picks. What if we package those up to, an offer will give you 3 4th-round picks? As opposed to saying 1 2nd round.
But here's the thing. Even take that though?
But here's the thing. The Bengals didn't even want to sign Shamar Stewart to the contract he wanted.
Yeah, but the Bengals could let Hendrickson walk for at least a 3rd-round compensation pick anyways, knowing he's getting big money.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You have to give at least a 3rd-round draft pick.
And you have a 3rd-round pick. You have a 21st pick in the 3rd round to offer.
But do you want to part ways with that 3rd-rounder knowing that guy's not coming back? Because you're not only losing that 3rd-round draft pick, you're acquiring a guy, you're watching him leave. Now, yes, Henderson could leave and San Francisco can recoup that 3rd-round draft pick, so maybe he's free at that point in time, and it gives you the best chance to win. Aaron, you feel like you have something to say.
If they can get him for a 3rd-round pick, fucking do it.
Plus, if the Niners are competitive this year, those 4th-round picks ain't going to be worth the freaking paper you can scratch them on.
But
You
like
know,
I'm
they're
saying,
gonna be-
the Niners have not been successful in the second round, third round in so many seasons.
You're right. And we say that though, but it's not as if this regime is getting. Like, we just spent half an hour saying, Trent Williams is 36 going on 37. The knees and the ankles a little bum, and the interior offensive line sucks. Where do you think you draft interior offensive linemen? It ain't round 1 and it ain't round 2. It's rounds 3 through 5. If you don't have those draft picks, you don't get to fix the offensive line, and you don't have money to spend. The Niners insulated their defense this past year, and it's already ripped through, and the depth is gone because guys are hurt. Wouldn't you want to add more young depth to the roster?
I'd rather add more impact players that are going to win us a championship.
You're not going to win this year.
You know what? It's not your money. Who cares how they spend their money?
Right, but it's about the structure of the team, knowing that if they use their money now, they don't have it in the future.
This is what bothers me about sports talk. Is that it's always a talk about, it's the budget. They can't afford this. Right. Their salary cap. You know what? It's not your money. So you know what? If they want to do it, they can figure it out. They can restructure contracts. They can move things around.
They shouldn't. And the offseason, they said, we're going to penny pinch. We're cutting costs. Now you're saying, F it, start spending money again in a year where you're 5-3 and you're banged up all the hell. This team is not going to the Super Bowl. They're not winning a Super Bowl this year. You do not hedge and go all in on this season. This year was always the reboot, always the retool. This is the pilot episode of hopefully better things to come. Yeah. Next year, you can go all in.
This is about 2026.
And it's about 2026. He's not coming back next year. He's not coming back.
That's what I'm saying. I'd only do it if he agrees an extension that works for both sides. And you could say, well, why would he want to do that? He could go make hella money. But we don't know who this guy is. He might be like, no, I want a contract and I want to play for a winning organization. He's played for the New Orleans Saints and the Cincinnati Bungles. It's like terrible teams.
But we're acting like teams that aren't better than San Francisco currently aren't going to be in the market to pay him. The Bills, of the teams and Aaron said it too, if a team needs a defensive star, which San Francisco does not need this year.
If they think that guy is going to be the determining factor that they're going to win a championship and they're like one player away. Okay. Those are the teams they're going to try to make a move for him.
What do you think about the rumors that the Eagles are willing to offer 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett?
That makes sense because they are in.
Why does that make sense? Why?
Because they're in their Super Bowl window, and first-round picks are at pick 32 or 31 for them. San Francisco's picking around 22 this year.
So are you saying Niners? They're not in their Super Bowl window. It's closed.
This is the reboot. This year was always hey, let's take a step back. We'll kind of see where things are at. We'll cut some funding. We'll get some young guys in the room. Hope they grow in a year or two. Then we can take a big
2027 is really
the roster once guys are older and probably year 2 of Purdy's contract. Really,
I feel like 2027 is the year that they might go in an all-in type of attitude.
Yeah,
because they're going to have another year of drafting
even
built
convince
up.
me to next year too.
But the problem too is that they're getting thinner at receiver. We don't even know how long Brandon Ayuk's even going to be here. And how good he's going to be when he comes back. Jordan Watkins, he's unproven. Juwan Jennings is likely gone after this season, based on what he's played this year.
I'd trade him.
I would trade him too. I'd be like, Cincinnati, I'll give you Juwan Jennings. No, but and then you got George Kittle, who's phenomenal, but he's getting older. So it's like your window is closing rapidly. Fred Warner, he's getting older. Nick Bosa, he's getting older. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, the core that we've developed right now, do we have time to win with guys that we're drafting, or do we have time? Should we take advantage of the window now? While we still can.
I get that, but you're asking the Niners to have to win a Super Bowl this year. Hendrickson's, the odds would say, not coming back after this season, right? He'll only be here in 2025. Okay. You're asking San Francisco to go all in and still not have Bosa. Okay, if Hendrickson is the replacement, fine. You've lost Super Bowls with Nick Bosa healthy and active. Mm-hmm. You don't have Fred Warner. You can't guard the middle of the football field. Your safety room isn't great. Your cornerbacks have been inconsistent, and your offense can't move the football and score 20-plus points a game. This is not the year you go buy big. That's why John Lynch said, we value our draft capital and only guys that are here through and past this season. That's why I think really a main culprit would be Jermaine Johnson of the Jets.
Which I'd be fine with.
I think a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick makes some sense. He's here for 2 years. probably better than who you'll get as an instant impact player in those rounds.
Yep.
And I think the Jets should at least entertain the idea of trading him. And I think it makes sense. San Francisco needs some edge rushing help, and Saleh knows him.
And Niners fans got to look at that and be like, man, now we've insulated ourselves with like a really good pass rushing rotation, because not only we would have Jermaine Johnson, we'd have Nick Bosa, we'd have Keon White, and we'd have Bryce Huff healthy if they're healthy. Not to mention what you can draft this coming year. Then all of a sudden, next year, when you're having a season where you're 7-1, that's the time where you're like, F the pick. We not only are we deep, but maybe we bring in another damn guy. Maybe we bring in a linebacker, a corner, a receiver, and I don't know, whatever. That's what I totally forgot about Jermaine Johnson. I would be totally fine with that move.
Well,
totally.
Let me ask you guys this, because we're probably going to end relatively soon, but The Athletic dropped 5 potential realistic trade proposals they think San Francisco should make or could make on Tuesday's trade deadline. The first one, we already mentioned his name. That would be the Niners acquire Jermaine Johnson for a 4th-round draft pick, and they get rid of Jair Brown. So a 4th-round pick and Jair Brown to the Jets for Jermaine Johnson.
Love it.
I would do it in a heartbeat. I would drive. Well, they're already going to be in New York, but I would drive Jair Brown there myself.
To the airport, right?
Yeah. I'd be like,
New York.
Jason Pinnock, suit up.
Marky Siegel, get ready.
Marky Siegel, you suck, but
get
you're
ready.
Going back in.
We're going to form Voltron. No, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Megazord.
A 4th-round pick and Jair Brown. Yeah. Fuck, I'd be like, dude, go.
Yeah.
But is that more of a benefit for us? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you help your.
They just traded Michael Carter to where did he? Philadelphia. I'm like, why are teams still helping them? They should be like, no, we're not. This stops now.
They want them to beat the Chiefs again because the Chiefs are pulling all their similar fast ones, and they know they're the only team that is good enough to beat them.
No, what it is, it's the power grids. That's why there's so many injuries right now.
Yes, it's the what is it? It's the EMF.
EMF.
Coming My God. Every Little League field is next to power plants, folks. It's like what's happening?
They really are. There's one here in my city right next to a massive power plant.
Exactly. Didn't bother me when I was 12. I was fat as hell, but still, it doesn't matter. So we are 2 thumbs up. Jermaine Johnson to San Francisco for Jair Brown in the 4th-round pick. There are more trades, though, I want to get your opinions on quickly. Right. The other trade with the Jets is a 2027 6th-round draft pick for edge rusher Michael Clemens of the Jets. Clemens, I believe, is 1 year on his contract remaining, has a 9.7% pass rush win rate this season. So not great, but, not terrible by any means. He's an above average pass rusher. He'd be in your rotation for 1 year. Really wouldn't cost you too much. Would you do that deal, or is that not really a needle mover for you?
I would do it.
I would do it.
Okay. Someone say something.
I would do it. 4th-round pick. That's good.
Okay. The other trade that involved Jair Brown to the Jets was just Jair Brown and a day 3 pick, that meaning rounds 5 through 7, I believe. No, that's rounds 4 through 7. Sorry. For Jair Brown, I'm assuming that probably be for a 5th-round draft pick. You'd be saying goodbye to a 3rd-round draft pick a handful of years ago for probably a 5th-round draft pick. Would you just trade Jair Brown outright to the Jets for a day 3 pick?
Yes. Always better to have capital.
I don't think I would do that.
I mean, it's to a point where how much do you value Jair Brown at that point? Like, is he somebody
under contract for a handful more years, relatively cheap?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is he a guy? Like, it's all based on how they evaluate talent. If they say, "Hey, look, this is a guy that we want to keep around for a long time," or is this a guy that has hit his ceiling and we don't see him, fitting in with what we're doing moving forward? We got Mustafa, we have Siegel. These are guys we want to develop and see them get more playing time. So it all depends on that, if you ask me.
Okay, Aaron, yes or no?
Yeah, I'm either way on it. Yes.
Okay. So we are yes on Jermaine Johnson and kind of iffy on the other one for Clemens and is trading Jair Brown outright. The next trade that was proposed by Matt Barrows and Vic Tafur from The Athletic was trading third running back on your depth chart, Isaac Guerrero, who's in year number 2 and hasn't played diddly squat or diddly poo, if you want to utilize the Jim Moore quote back when he was the coach of the Saints this season, for a rental of Arden Key. Would you make that trade? You'd be losing 3 years of team control of Guerrero, who hasn't played much this year, obviously, for a rental in Arden Key. You'd make that deal, Aaron?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, Dre?
No, I wouldn't. Just because you have team control over Isaac Guerrero now. To me, he's being underutilized. I think they should have used him more as a receiver as well, because he did play receiver in high school. I think the guy has talent and has skills that you can utilize. And I think Arden Key, bringing him in, I mean, I just don't know if that really moves the needle for we're going to remain competitive. We traded Guerrero and we got Arden Key. Like, well, okay. Yeah. What's he going to give you? 3 sacks?
They have no depth. And that's the one thing that they need is depth.
They need depth. I mean, Arden Key's a 1-year rental anyway, so
that to me is, I think, the big conundrum, because Keon White probably replaces Yetur Gross-Matos on the roster, who's an impending free agent after this season. I think that's kind of where San Francisco, their mindset is of like, if we're going to trade for somebody, they at least need to be depth for us beyond this year. Samuel Kawanu's an impending free agent. Jordan Elliott's an impending free agent. Kevin Givens is an impending free agent. I think Kalia Davis also might be, which those guys aren't going to be expensive, but they're bodies that have played for you this year and have been at least okay in their time. But certainly they aren't, world beaters, if you will. But okay, we are split on the Isaac Guerrero trade. I wouldn't make it. Aaron would. Dre would not. The other Isaac Guerrero trade is to the Miami Dolphins. Aaron probably knows more about this than many, with his brother being a Dolphins fan. But the trade is straight up Guerrero to Miami for edge rusher Matthew Judon. Yes. I would hate this if I was San Francisco.
What was it again?
Aaron, Matthew Judon to San Francisco for Isaac Guerrero. I would not do this by any means. But Aaron, you like it. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Edge rusher, why not? He's a young player too, right?
No, Matthew Judon's like 34 years old, a 3.3% pass rush rate.
He's a veteran.
Who am I thinking of then on that team that's the young guy? Is it
Jalen Phillips? Chop Robinson?
Chop Robinson, that's what I'm thinking. Okay.
Not the same. Not the same.
No, that's what you know what? No. I was thinking of Chop
Judon's
Robinson.
washed.
No.
He's washed.
He's 33 years old.
Yeah.
No. He doesn't have a single sack this year.
No, I wouldn't
in 8
do that
games,
one.
he has no sacks and 6 tackles. No,
my mind was thinking Chop Robinson.
Okay.
But at the same time, though, it's like the Niners don't even utilize their other running backs. You're like, oh, we drafted Jordan James. Cool. He's been inactive every single week. Isaac Guerrero was doing kick returns. They took him out of that. And now Robinson Jr. And they're like, is there a reason why? No, it's just an opportunity he lost. That was weird. I was like, oh.
So what's wrong with him?
I honestly, I feel like they made a trade to get Brian Robinson, and they weren't using him very much. And they were like, why don't we just put him on kick returns? That way he gets the ball and gets to do something.
Honestly, that might be it, because San Francisco clearly has a one-track mind when it comes to their running backs. They can't even look to the RB2 or RB3. So I don't even think they know Guerrero's still on the roster, quite frankly.
They're like, who? Oh, what's up, dude? I like Kawachipto's trade offer.
Okay, what do they say?
A third, Jair Brown and JJ for Quinnen Williams. Hell yeah!
I mean, of course.
And you'd have him for next year. He signed through 2026.
Do that though? Would the Jets trade a superstar, or a star at least, for Jair Brown, who has this year and next year of team control left, a 3rd-round draft pick, Juwan Jennings, who's an impending free agent, for their top edge rusher, their top defensive lineman, Quinnen Williams?
I mean, anything's possible.
I would do it
Anything's
tomorrow.
Possible.
I would do it.
But I mean, if they took that trade, I'd be like, oh my god, we fleeced them. And
which
then
the
you'd
Jets
have
are a mess, so there's that.
You'd have Quinnen Williams for next season as well. So then you'd have Bosa, Huff, Quinnen Williams. That's like, Jesus, Michael Williams. That'd be great. And that's another player I would love to see them try and get, even though the Jets have said we're not trading him. But whenever I hear a team
capital for him.
Whenever I hear a team say we're not trading him, We're not interested in trading him. All that means is you got to wow me with an offer if you're going to get him. That's all that means.
3 first rounders? We'll change them.
It's posturing. And you know what? If I'm the Eagles and I say I'll give you 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett, if the Browns are dumb enough to take that pick, like, okay, let's do it. They're getting late first-round picks. It would allow you to rebuild your roster quickly, but still, that's. I mean,
now keep in mind, Quinnen Williams is under contract through 2027. However, his cap number goes from 21.5 to 26.6 to 30.4 at the end of his deal. So there have to be some contract gymnastics.
Now, that's a lot cheaper than maybe what you'd pay Trey Hendrickson if you signed an extension.
that
so then you could say, well, I mean, we're only paying him $30 million in a couple years. That's and we're only paying, we're only paying Nick Bosa 35.
Yeah. Was that Aaron?
Did they convert any of that to a signing bonus if they wanted to extend him?
I'm sure they could.
I'm sure they could. I would not be surprised after this season. You don't see guys like Kittle and Warner and Lenore and somebody else in that room redoes their deal and just to move money around and maneuver things around. I wouldn't be shocked if IU comes back and looks somewhat healthy, which I think he will. At least I hope he does. I wouldn't be shocked to see San Francisco kind of redo his deal too, lower that cap, free up some money.
Let me ask you guys this. If it came down to a deal for either Trey Hendrickson, Quinnen Williams, or what's the other guy? Johnson?
Jermaine Johnson of the Jets.
Jermaine Johnson. I wanted to call him Jeremiah. That's not it. Jermaine Johnson. Who would you rather see them go after?
Well, not Trey Hendrickson.
It's fine.
Jermaine Johnson.
Well, it's tough because it's like two different things, right? You have Quinnen Williams for the next 3 seasons, but highly paid, albeit maybe at that point
but he's really
underpaid.
Good. He's
right.
Really good.
It might be underpaid by the time you're paying him $30 million a year. May also give you some assurances or some insurance if Bosa wants a new contract. Maybe you say no or trade him. I wouldn't do that, but there's some options there. It would almost be like, Bryce Huff is a free agent after next season. You can say goodbye to him and not really blink at it if he's still really good for you and say he wants to get paid again. Like, paying Williams doesn't really have a lot of pitfalls outside of money, which I think paying a player like him under $30 million for 2 years really isn't that big of a deal, at least compared to paying someone $30 or $40 million per season. But I think, like, from a perspective of what they will do, I think Johnson makes the most realistic sense for the team, but Williams is awesome.
Aaron.
It's definitely between Johnson and Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's all about cost, Williams would probably be the smartest one to do, and he would give us something that we haven't had in a really long time, which would be a dominant interior defensive lineman. It's been a long time. Think about that too, is he was in the same class as Bosa. That's insane. Bosa and him on the same defensive line would be.
Well, didn't they go 2 and 3? Right, 2 and 3.
So.
Yeah. And we also got some breaking news. It was as of 22 hours ago. So this is yesterday. Bengals defensive tackle McKinley Jackson has requested trade or release. So everyone wants out.
I know.
It's almost a meme now. It's like everyone's asking for a trade.
It's kind of on the same topic of the athletic stuff. There was one more trade in there I want to ask you guys about. It was the Niners acquiring edge rusher of the Falcons, Arnold Ebiketie, in exchange for a 4th-round draft pick under contract for 1 more year, so he'd be a rental. I think a former 2nd-round draft pick of the Falcons, maybe somebody you can re-sign for fairly cheap. So far this year, a 9% pass rush win rate. If you did some math, that would basically be above Micah Williams, Arden Key, Beal Jr., other guys on San Francisco, but be below Samuel Kawanu, and guys like Bosa, Phillips, and guys like Bradley Chubb out there. Is that somebody you entertain? Maybe somebody you could re-sign fairly cheap. He has no sacks this year, only has 2 pressures. Isn't playing much, mind you, in Atlanta. So maybe another castaway you can get for cheap. Would you do that deal?
I don't know enough about him.
It doesn't move the needle enough. Even Arden Key doesn't move the needle all that much. Sure. And again, getting an Arden Key, that's like, We're just going back to the well. Like, well, you know what it reminds me of?
That's a Band-Aid move.
It's a Band-Aid move, 100%.
To get you through the season, basically.
Yes. It feels like Arden Key feels like a San Francisco Giants move. I know I bring them up a lot. It looks like a move that they would do in years past where you're just like, oh, we're going to bring this guy back. And just
Can I ask you guys one final question, then we'll get into our score predictions for Sunday's game, which feels like a conversation an hour ago. It's been a long time, but it's been a good conversation, so that's great. Do you think San Francisco may actually opt to try to trade for a defensive tackle over an edge rusher? I think with Jordan Elliott, according to Jennifer Lee Chan, not traveling with the team this Sunday for a personal reason, leaving him questionable for this game. Alfred Collins dealing with an injury. Khalid Davis not playing great football as of recent. And them getting thinner on the interior. Do you think they may opt to get a defensive tackle? That way Mike Hill can play the outside to help kind of, again, get them back to Bryce Huff in week 10. I don't think that's a bad idea, quite frankly.
I don't know enough about the defensive tackle class of free agents, or tradable players, to even make a comment on that.
There's a name out there that I don't know if he's going to get traded. There is rumors that the Titans right now aren't sure if they are open to dealing him or would like to see him under their new coaching staff, which will be in place next year. That is Tavondre Sweat. He was their second-round draft pick, I believe, a couple years ago. So far this year, only played 3 games. There is some injury concerns, but he has 3 pressures. He had 2 sacks. He has a 2.5% pass rush win rate. It would certainly help San Francisco a ton on the interior. And if you did some math again, if you just did the edge rushing group or the interior defensive tackle group, he certainly wouldn't be, Gross Matos or Jordan Elliott, but he would be a body in that room. I think the more he plays, the better he'll get. And on top of that, the run defense, having a bigger body guy in there might also improve and also give you depth under contract for, I believe, 3 more seasons. He would be right now San Francisco's best interior run defender when it comes to PFF scores, with the 67.2 compared to their highest player, who is a 53.5, that being Khalid Davis. Would you trade a 3rd-round pick for a player like that?
Bump that to a 4th and we got a deal.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, a 3rd-round pick? No way.
My thought is that 2nd-round draft pick from Tennessee, they aren't really, I guess.
If it's Jeffrey Simmons, I'm like, let's go.
That's a 1st-round draft pick.
But they're like, we're not going to give him up. Oh, well.
We're not going to be good for another 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tavondre Sweat would be a good fit for San Francisco and Tennessee, but let's rewind the clock all the way back to, I don't know, let's say 3 o'clock. And let's give our score predictions for this Sunday. Giants versus Niners. Did the entire shebang, why they could win, why they could lose, how they could win, how they could lose, and what could cost them this Sunday's game. Aaron, we'll toss it to you. What is your score prediction for Week 9? Do the San Francisco 49ers win, or do they lose and fall to 5-4?
I think this game will be close, as is every 49er game this season. I think both sides of the ball will struggle at times, but based on what we've talked about and what you've said about Jackson Dart and his affinity for throwing and having turnover-worthy plays, I'm going to say the Niners squeak out a win 23-14 in New York and go to 6-3 with a huge date coming up with the LA Rams.
Dre?
I think the Niners win this game. I think the Giants are too banged up to win this. They don't have Cam Scadaboo anymore. Obviously, they have injuries to their secondary. I think they are going to try to mimic what the Houston Texans did, because they're like, hey, look, we got a pass rush, they got a pass rush. This is what we got to do. But they're better against the run than the Giants were. The Giants are 30th against the run, because these are pass rushers. They're not run stoppers. They're like, well, there he goes. If the Niners can control the time of possession by running the football effectively with Christian McCaffrey, which will open things up, for their passing game, I think San Francisco wins this game 24-17.
Well, Dre, Aaron, you basically have mimicked my final score as well. You both have San Francisco winning. I will third that, and I think San Francisco wins 24-17. They have to defeat Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle should be in for a hopeful first big game of the season. The Giants are banged up. San Francisco equally banged up, but hopefully can pull things out this Sunday. All three of us have San Francisco winning. What a shocker. But hopefully that's the case when the Giants and the Niners lock horns. The other thing is pray for safety. They're at MetLife Stadium. Whether you're holding onto your rosary, lighting a candle, or praying to the south or north, whatever way the Muslims pray, all respect to them. My God, this team has to stay healthy. Like, holy crap. I think we're all kind of scared as to what MetLife Stadium could hold for San Francisco this weekend. But hopefully things work out for them, and each team can stay healthy for that matter. But don't forget to like and subscribe here on 49ers Access, but also like and subscribe to 49ers First Takes and Dre Area Sports. To my right, my left, my side is Dre from Dre Area Sports, and down below is Aaron from 49ers First Takes. We're having a great time. A nearly 2-hour show. We have San Francisco winning 24-17 and 23-14 down below with Aaron's prediction. Like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you all next Friday leading into Niners versus the Rams. Hopefully a big Week 10 matchup. Until next time, though, my name is Sterling Bennett. For Dre, for Aaron, as always, stay faithful.